Well, hi there. I realized that I have not done a swatch out of all of the handmade watercolors that I make, and I thought I would put that to right. And I haven't really, since moving, I haven't really promoted these watercolors for sale, but they are for sale. Some of them are no longer for sale. It was just too hard to get the pigments, or they just became too expensive, and so I would have to charge a lot more. They range in price from about $10 to $12, most of which are 10, and they're just different blends. Some are pure pigments, some are man-made ones. The ones that are more sparkly are usually not pigment, and then some are just some mixes that I've created. So I'm just going to go through, and I'm going to start this by spraying. Here's a look at the palette that I have. So I'm just going to spray them to get them activated. Handmade paints do tend to dry out a little bit and sink down. Some of these I've been using a lot, some of them I haven't, so they're all different states of use. So we're just gonna get started with one of my favorites, which is the Vintage Rose. I wanted a pink that was very kind of muted, so this is what I came up with. And I have them all written up in this book with all the different trials and errors that I did, washing them over different colors to see how they look. So just gonna go to Vintage Rose so I can see. So this one is PR83, PW6, and to give it that little bit of like muted color, you put the complementary color with the red, which is green, so that's PG18, that's in there. Now next is Cornelison Terre Verte. Now, any of the Terre Verte pigments are usually very, very translucent. It's not that there's not much pigment, that's just a natural state of that pigment. And with all of my swatching that I've done on this channel, I have all of the swatches uploaded on my website that you can download as a PDF. So the Cornelison Terre Verte is PG23. And then next up is Van Dyke Brown. This is a pigment that I got from Cama. Most of my pigments have come from, my first set came from Cornelison, but that becomes very expensive. And so I tried to find sources closer to home, and one of those is a pigment manufacturer in Montreal called Cama. And Now they're even available in some stores in Toronto, so they're easy to get and easy to ship. The other place that I get a lot of my art supplies from are is Jackson's, because Jackson's does have some of the Cornellison pigments, but they also have their own pigments. So the Van Dyke Brown is PBR 9. And I really love this brown because I like them to look actually brown rather than sort of like an orangey, reddy brown. And then for some of the kind of metallics, specialized paints, I have done aluminum. And part of the reason why I've done some metallic paints is that when I first started doing these, they were inspired by where I lived, which was in Hamilton, and that's known as Steel Town because it's one of the largest manufacturers of steel in the world, but definitely in Canada. And next up is Vintage Lilac. So this is PR 122, PB 29, and PV 6. And again, I was looking for a more muted purple to use for botanicals mostly. So that's the Vintage Lilac. And beside that is Spanish Gold, excuse me, which is PY42H, and that's a pigment from Cama. And if I forget to say anything, just leave me a message in the comments if I've missed saying what pigment something is or where I've got the pigments, and I can write it down there. And this one, also inspired by my time in Hamilton, is called Crown Point Purple, because there is an area called Crown Point, and there's also a brand of liquor called Crown Royal, and they're usually in these, I know it takes me back to my childhood because they came in these little velveteen, purple velveteen bags. My parents didn't drink, so, but for some reason they were always given alcohol at Christmas time. So the next one is another one inspired by Hamilton, and that's Dark Steel. And again, this isn't a pigment. It's not a natural pigment. And next to that, Antique Copper, on the theme of more metallics. And this is one of my favorites. This is Rose Gold. It's very shimmery. And more metallic themed, I have New Rust. And this is very translucent color. And beside that is antique silver. And next up is European earth. Again, these are one of the more not natural pigments. And following that is soft orange. Soft orange is a pigment from Cornelissen, and that is PY108 and PW4. And again, I wanted a kind of muted florally orange for that. Beside it is another Cornelissen pigment. It's Antwerp Blue. And this is one of the ones that I don't have anymore because it's just too expensive to get. I may look into it if there's a desire for it, but it's very close, as you'll see later, to Prussian blue that I have, which is easier to get. But it's beautiful, beautiful blue. And now we have clay brick. And again, this is going back to the theme of Hamilton. Bricks were made in Hamilton. A lot of them were stamped with the word Hamilton across it. So that's what gave me the idea for this. And it's a very translucent watercolor. This one is a Kama pigment, and it's PBK 11 and PR 101. And gray ochre is next, beside it. And there's just a limited quantity of this because it didn't really work the way I wanted it to. Well, actually, that's not correct. It does work the way I want it to, but I had other grays that I rather pursue. And then periwinkle is PB29, PW6, and PR101. So this is a more opaque mix because of the PW6. White always makes things a little bit more opaque. And beside that is dark steel. Now this one is very, very translucent. It works really nice as a wash. Oops. And Dusky Rose here, another one of my favorites. As you can see, there's, oh, you can't really see it, but it's pretty far gone in the pan. This is PR101 and PW6. And I actually like it better than the Vintage Rose. This was really the color that I was going for when I was doing that. And this is Nicosia Terre Verte. That's where the pigment normally came from. Cypress. And that is PG17 and PW18. So it's a little bit, because of those two pigments, it's a little bit more, not opaque, but the Cornelissen Terre Verte is a lot more translucent than this one. And after that is Marigold. So this is PY42H and PW6. Oops. This is another nice botanical color. And beside this is another metallic and another copper. And it's a bit more translucent than the antique copper. But it's a nice, brighter copper than the antique one, although I still think the antique one is my favorite. And beside that is Deep Gold, which is PY42. And this is a beautiful earthy color, like a raw sienna. And then beside that is another one of my favorites. This is the what I call peach hibiscus. It's kind of like a lot of the brand manufacturers call flesh color. It is PW18, PR101, PY42, and PW6. And again, because of the PW6, it's a little bit touch more opaque. Next up is Quin Violet. Now this one was really difficult to make. Certain pigments take a really long time to mull, and this one was no exception. This is PV19. So when you're making watercolor, you have to get the pigment to bind with the binder, which is gum arabic. And some pigments take more well to the binder than others. And this PV19 took it was about 2 hours, I think, of me just hand mulling with a glass muller onto glass and trying to get the pigment to bind with the gum arabic. So now we have another sparkly. I think my mind's gone today. I can't even think of words. It's kind of like a dual tone because you'll see in different light it looks green. And when it dries, I'll hold it up to the light and you'll see the colors. Now, this one is Prussian blue. So this really takes over from the Antwerp blue, and it is PB27, a color from Kama. It's a beautiful blue. And beside that is another metallic. This one is red gold. Then I have another of my own mixes. This one's mauve, and it is PW6 and PV19. So again, using the same pigment that's in the Quin Violet, mixed with white. And then beside that is the chromium oxide green. This is PG17. And this is my favorite kind of green. It is a little bit opaque, so if you don't like that, that might be a problem. And next beside it is chromium oxide deep. It's just a deeper version. Again, a little bit more opaque, but a really beautiful color. And next There is Caput Mortem, which is a Cornelison, Cornelison pigment. And this is PBR 101. Nice earthy rich color. And next is Lapis Lazuli. This is a Cama pigment and I just absolutely love it, but it is expensive, so I'm not sure if I'm going to continue having it. It's PB29. It's almost a denim color. And I realized I was off camera, even though I have it. I just got wrapped up in doing this. Sorry, guys. And then I wanted a black to add to the collection. And this is Ivory Black. Some traditional watercolors say you shouldn't have a black, you should be able to make your own black. But I do like having a black, and sometimes I'll use even ink when I need the black to really stand out. And this is PBL 9. You shop there a little bit. And this is Buff Titanium, because I always like having this, especially when I'm doing urban scenes. So I wanted my own version of it. And then we have the Duo Green, Blue Green. Again, this changes by how the light reflects off of it, and also how it looks on black paper. So it'll look more green when it's on black paper. And the gray lavender is also metallic color. It's a nice subtle lavender color. And then Garnet Mica is another metallic color. It's quite like the mink. And then Cobalt Turquoise is one of my favorites. I just love this color. And then Cad Vermilion, another beautiful, bright color. And both of these are Jackson's pigments. And the Cad Vermilion is PR108, and the Cobalt Turquoise is PB36. And then we have French Burnt Sienna. You can also see swatches of these on the website when where I have them so that you can purchase them. And I'll have, I also have the colors on black. And all the details about the pigments are there as well. And here's a Mars Orange. That's also a Jackson's pigment. And that one is, for some reason I don't have, it'll pop up there in the video. I don't have pigment information to hand. And I love this ultramarine pink from Jackson's as well. I guess that's why I never thought of doing a video swatching these out, because I have them all up on my website. But it's always nice to see them being swatched out live. And this is a color that I've made. It's a blend of colors, and it's Eileen Gray. And then it'll pop up right there what pigments are used for this one. And Fog Gray, because you can't have too many grays. I know you can make grays yourself when you're mixing, but I always like to have convenient grays on hand. This is a kind of warmish gray. This is a cooler. I like how it's not quite a Payne's gray. It's kind of got almost a green shade to it. And then we have Valentine's Red. Yeah, another one that takes absolutely forever to mull. But it's a more translucent color than the Quin Violet. And now we have the orange. I'm not even going to try to say that. Isola-Deline. And the pigment will pop up there. And this is a really, really intense orange. I love it. And then, because I realized I didn't have a yellow, here's a yellow. These two are from Kama. And I was able to get these in a bulk size. So there will always be, for sure, these two colors. And this is just such a bright, bright, bright yellow. I love it. So there we go. So there's all of the colors that I've made by hand. like I said, some are permanently out of manufacture, like the Antwerp Blue, but most of them I can make up. I still have stock left, so that's no issue at all. And yeah, they're fun to make. They give you a chance to create colors that you might not be able to get in other brands, and it's just an enjoyable experience. I love color. That's why I do what I do. And if you are interested in purchasing, just drop me a line, go to my website, and where you can see the colors and get their information, a little bit of background about the colors. I put like a little, almost like a dating profile for each of the colors. They're all up there. And yeah, that's about it. So everyone have happy painting days. Spring is sort of coming. Not quite today. It's a bit gray out there. Hopefully the color or the light has been pretty good. So enjoy painting, and if you like these videos, please subscribe and follow me on Twitter, or not Twitter, sorry, Instagram, where you can see what I'm doing and how I use these paints and any of the other paints that I have. Okay, talk soon. Bye.